So, what's up, people? Hello, guys. It's really a sad day today, and I just wanted to make a little fun tribute to the legendary Dolly Partons. Dolly Rebecca Patron Dean she has been an American singer, songwriter, actress, and businesswoman, dubbed as the Queen of Country, one of the most honored country performers that ever walked the earth. She won 11 Grammy Awards. You know what that means. 3 Emmys and 6 Golden Globes. She was born on January 19th, 1946 at the Pittman Center, Tennessee, United States. She died on August 25th. I'm a woman, farther along, love is like a butterfly, my Tennessee mountain, old frames can't hold, wildflowers, hello God, the day I fell in love, tomorrow is forever, let it be, highlight of my life, light of a clear blue, from here to the moon, but you know I love you, islands in the stream, God only knows, my country tis of thee, silver and gold, you are the only one, hard candy Christmas, me and little Andy, baby I'm burning, and so many of those. So many songs. And by the way, did you know what Dolly Parton's most famous song was? Her famous song was I Will Always Love You. She wrote and recorded this track in 1974, which later became a massive worldwide phenomenon when Whitney Houston covered it for the 1992 film The Bodyguard. While I Will Always Love You hold its title for the most famous composition, a few other signature attacks define her legacies. Not only that, she recorded Jolene in 1973, a haunting, a deep personal acoustic narrative about a woman pleading with a glamorous bank teller not to steal her man. There's also another one called 9 to 5, wrote in 1980, her upbeat, anthemic ode to the working class and the title track to the hit comedy film in which she started. Coat of Many Colors, wrote in 1971. Parton is personal favorite of her own composition, telling the touching autobiographical story of her impoverished childhood. Island in the Stream, 1983, her iconic chart-topping duet with Ken Rogers. So, this is my tribute, titled Dolly Parton, Why I Will Always Love Her. A funny tribute to a legend. There are some artists you listen to, and then there are artists who become part of your life. For me, Dolly Parton was one of those artists. I wasn't simply a listener, I was a fan. I loved her voice, I loved her songs, I loved her personality, and somehow, even from far away, Dolly always felt like one of those people who could make the world feel a little warmer. On August 25th, 2026, the world lost Dolly Parton. She was 80 years old, and suddenly songs that I had listened to before didn't feel quite the same. Because when someone has been part of your life through the music, losing them can feel strangely personal. So today I don't want to make just another biography, But I want to remember Dory, the little girl from Tennessee, the songwriter, the singer, the actress, the businesswoman, philanthropist, and most importantly, the woman who gave millions of people a reason to smile. The girl from the mountains. Dolly Rebecca Parton was born on July 1946 in East Tennessee. She was the fourth of the 12 children and grew up in a poor family in the Great Smoky Mountains. Her family didn't have much money, but they had music. Dory's mother, Avi Lee, loved singing and storytelling, while her father, Lee Parton, was a hard-working man who struggled with reading and writing. That childhood would influence Dory for the rest of her life. The official Dolly Parton biography describes her upbringing as the beginning of a remarkable journey from the rags to rhinestones. And this important thing is, Dolly never tried to hide where she came from. She celebrated it. Her Appalachian roots became part of her identity. Her family became part of her songs, and the struggles of her childhood became stories that millions of people could understand. She knew what she wanted. Dory started performing when she was still very young. At the teenage years, she was already appearing on radio and television. At just 13, she performed at the Grand Ole Opry. Think about that. 13 years old, most children are trying to figure out who they are. Dory was already walking. She was already walking towards her dream. After finishing high school in 1964, she moved to Nashville. She arrived with something incredibly valuable: songs. Dory wasn't just a singer, she was a songwriter, and that decision would become one of the biggest reasons for her success. Her first album, Hello, I'm Dory, arrived in 1967. Her career was officially beginning. The songwriter. One of the easiest ways to underestimate Dolly Parton is to look only at her appearance, the wigs, the glitter, the colorful clothes, the huge personality, but underneath all of that was an extraordinary songwriter. Dolly wrote about love, jealousy, poverty, family, heartbreak, dreams, working people, and ordinary life. Such songs as Jolene, Coat of Many Colors, and I Will Always Love You became part of the music history. And I Will Always Love You tells an especially incredibly story. Dory originally wrote and recorded it herself. Years later, Whitney Houston's version became a massive worldwide hit after appearing in The Bodyguard. But the song belonged to Dory's imagination first. That's the thing about great writers. They don't simply make songs, they create emotions that other people can inherit. Dolly Parton, the superstar. Dory's career continued to grow. Her partnership with Port Wagner helped introduce her to a much larger audience. But Dory eventually wanted to establish herself as a solo artist, and she did. She became one of the biggest names in country music. But Dory didn't stop there. She crossed into pop music. She went into television. She went into movies, and then became one of the most unforgettable film roles, 9 to 5. The movie became a hit, and Dory's title song became another major success. She also appeared in films including The Best Little Warhouse in Texas and Still Magnolias. Dory had something rare. She could walk into different worlds and still remain completely Dory, the woman behind the glitter. This is probably one of the reasons I became such a big fan. Dory understood something that many celebrities never understood. You don't have to take yourself too seriously. She could laugh at herself. She could make jokes about her appearance. She could wear enormous wigs and sparkling clothes and still command respect. But behind the humor was an extremely intelligent businesswoman. Dory understood branding before social media made the word branding famous. She understood her audience. She understood entertainment. She understood storytelling. And she understood that being underestimated could actually become an advantage. People sometimes look at Dory's appearance and assume they knew everything about her. They didn't. There was a sharp business mind behind that smile. Dollywood. Dory's success wasn't only about records. She built business. And one of the most famous was Dollywood, the theme park in Tennessee. But perhaps more important was what Dory did with her success. She gave back a lot. The book Lady. In 1995, Dory launched an imagination library. The idea was simple. Gave children books. The program began in Sevier County, Tennessee, where Dory grew up. It was inspired partly by her father, who could not read and write. The program eventually expanded far beyond Tennessee into multiple countries. Dory became known affectionately as the Book Lady. And this is one of the most beautiful parts of her story. She could have simply enjoyed her success, but instead she used her success to help children, books, dreams, children dreams with books, education, imaginations, opportunity, then became another part of Dory's legacy. Why people loved her. Dory was loved by people who didn't necessarily agree on everything. Different generations, different backgrounds, different cultures, different musical tastes, and somehow Dory could connect with all of them. Maybe it was because she never pretended to be someone else. She knew who she was, she knew where she came from, and she never forget the people who helped her get there. That's powerful. Because fame can change people, Dory became famous, but she never seemed embraced. She never seemed embraced by her beginnings. Why I was such a big fan. And now I want to make this personal because this isn't just a documentary about Dolly Parton's. It's about what Dory meant to me. I was a big fan, a really big fan. And when you become a big fan of someone, you don't always know exactly why. Sometimes it's the voice, sometimes it's the songs, the personality, or simply the feeling you get when you hear them. For me, Dory represented something bigger. She represented joy, determination, somebody who could come from very little, dream big, and still remember where she came from. That inspired me. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels that way. Her legacy. Dory's career lasted for decades. Music, movies, television, businesses, books, charity, education. She built an extraordinary body of work, and her influence reached far beyond country music. Her songs have been recorded by other artists. Her movie introduced her to new generations. Her philanthropy changed children's lives, and her personality became part of the pop culture. She became more than an entertainer. She became an institution. But even that word doesn't quite capture it, because Dory never felt like an institution. She felt human. We will always love you. Dolly Parton once turned personal emotion into into music. She turned poverty into stories. She turned success into opportunity. And she turned fame into reason to help people. This is why her legacy is so much bigger than a list of awards. It's bigger than album sales, bigger than movies, bigger than Dollywood. It's bigger than the wigs and the rhinestones. It's about the people she inspired, the children who received books, the fans who found comfort in her songs, the artists who learned from her, and people like me who simply became fans. Dolly Parton is gone, but her voice isn't. Her songs aren't. Stories aren't. And the joy she gave people isn't. So today, I don't want to say goodbye to Dory. I want to thank you. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the laughter. Thank you for the stories. And thank you for showing us that success doesn't have or doesn't mean to forget where you came from. And thank you for giving so many people something to believe in. I was a big part of Dory. I was a big Dolly Parton fan, and I'll always be. Rest peace, Dory. Rest peacefully, Dory. Your songs will keep playing, and your stories will be kept, like they will be told, like all generations, or people will come discovering the woman behind the rhinestones, Dolly Parton's We Will Always Love You. At the teenage years, she was already appearing on radio and television. At just 13, she performed at the Grand Ole Opry. Think about that. 13 years old. Most children are trying to figure out who they are. Dory was already walking. She was already walking towards her dream. After finishing high school in 1964, she moved to Nashville. She arrived with something incredibly valuable: songs. Dory wasn't just a singer, she was a songwriter, and that decision would become one of the biggest reasons for her success. Her first album, Hello, I'm Dory, arrived in 1967. Her career was officially beginning. The songwriter. One of the easiest ways to underestimate Dolly Parton is to look only at her appearance, the wigs, the glitter, the colorful clothes, the huge personality, but underneath all of that was an extraordinary songwriter. Dolly wrote about love, jealousy, poverty, family, heartbreak, dreams, working people, and ordinary life. Such songs as Jolene, Coat of Many Colors, and I Will Always Love You became part of the music history. And I Will Always Love You tells an especially incredibly story. Dory originally wrote and recorded it herself. Years later, Whitney Houston's version became a massive worldwide hit after appearing in The Bodyguard. But the song belonged to Dory's imagination first. That's the thing about great writers. They don't simply make songs, they create emotions that other people can inherit. Dolly Parton, the superstar. Dory's career continued to grow. Her partnership with Port Wagner helped introduce her to a much larger audience. But Dory eventually wanted to establish herself as a solo artist, and she did. She became one of the biggest names in country music. But Dory didn't stop there. She crossed into pop music. She went into television. She went into movies, and then became one of the most unforgettable film roles, 9 to 5. The movie became a hit, and Dory's title song became another major success. She also appeared in films including The Best Little Warhouse in Texas and Still Magnolias. Dory had something rare. She could walk into different worlds.
From rags to rhinestones. I've been blessed with a life full of stories, and now I finally get to share them all with you in one place, My Life of Many Colors Museum. It's opening in 2026 at my Songteller Hotel in Nashville, and it's the biggest exhibit of yours truly that the world has ever seen. So get your tickets now.
One of the baddest rappers in the game, straight out of the Ville, Nashville that is, Dolly Parton.
It's my song, but it's most definitely her record. It didn't sound like that when I had it. She made me rich. I've never been the kind of writer that's always looked for a perfect song. I write because I have to. I write because I love to and because I want to. There are certain songs, though, that I do write. I think, ooh, now that is good. I Will Always Love You has the simple melody, and it's easy to sing. It also fits so many types of things. Like people tell me, we played this at the hospital when my daddy was dying. He loved the song. They played this at my graduation when my son was going off to college. In fact, Elvis' manager wanted to have the publishing on that song, and I wouldn't allow it because it was my most important copyright. It broke my heart because Elvis didn't get to sing it, but I had to hold on to it. Elvis loved this song. In fact, Priscilla had told me that when she and Elvis were leaving the courthouse after they divorced, he was singing that to her walking out. So she said he did love it.
That was one of the great career decisions Dolly Parton made in her life, because Elvis was Elvis, for God's sake. And she said no, and that...
But I just wanted to take a minute to say something to you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'm really proud of you. I've always been proud of you, and I'm proud to be your fairy godmother. And you know, one thing that touches me most of all is when you had me on the Hannah Montana show back years ago. You really helped my career. You introduced me to a whole new set of fans, young ones. Of course, they're not all as young as they used to be now.
Well, you wrote the handbook on how to stay young.
Well, I've got the doctor bills to prove that.
And when the time comes, you're giving me all the numbers.
Oh, I'm saving them for you.
I bet it looks like the yellow pages by now.
Oh, ain't you funny?
Now, I don't hip and I don't hop. I black both eyes with this big top. I know the queen has got 'em too, but she don't work 'em like I do. Woo! Look at 'em go! Hey, I'm tweaking! I'm working! I'm twerking! Hey, Molly, I got your wrecking balls right here.
Well, my faith is my rod and my shield, and I've just always been very spiritual because I grew up in the mountains, and where God is your only hope, really. And my grandpa was a preacher, but I learned early on that, you know, there's a great strength to be found and to draw from about anything in life. I mean, prayer got us through, and it does to me today. I pray every day that God will let me be a light in the world, and that He'll let me shine and radiate with His love and light, and to uplift people, and to to glorify Him. I mean, that's my prayer every day. I look like a woman, but I think like a man. Only because I grew up in a house full of brothers. My dad, my uncles loved men, but I never feel out of place. Sometimes I'm the only woman in a whole boardroom, of meetings, but I always just say, get past the boobs, get past the everything else, and just listen to what I got to say, because I think I can make us all a bunch of money. My line is, I'm a very professional Dolly Parton. I don't go into meetings trying to save the world or thinking I know anything about things I don't, because at least I'm smart enough to know what I know and what I don't know. But it's what I know that I make my living from.
Do you see yourself as a feminist?
No, I'm feminine. I see myself as a female, but I do agree that whether you're a man or a woman, black, white, green, purple, or alien gray, you should be allowed to be paid and treated with respect in what you're capable of doing, because I always like to be a good example. I don't feel I have to march in the streets to say I'm a woman or I have this and that. But I've been writing those kind of songs to uplift women ever since I've been in the career. My first #1 song was a song called Just Because I'm a Woman. My mistakes are no worse than yours, just because I'm a woman. So I just try to live it and be it.
Well, honey, if you're watching this, I reckon it's time for me to say goodbye. Now, I hope I taught you a few things along the way. Love people. Be kind. Don't take yourself too seriously. And always leave a little sparkle wherever you go. Remember, if you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. And honey, leave something good in every day. So don't you cry too long for me. Put on a good song, hug somebody you love, and go make this world a little sweeter.
Your legacy to be?
Well, I want to be remembered as a good person, if I can be. I want to be remembered as a giving person, a talented person, if I am talented, or at least to say that I made the most of like there's a great saying I love. I think it was Mother Teresa that said, when I stand before God, I want to be able to say, Lord, I used everything you gave me. And I love that saying. And so that's kind of how I feel. I just want to, just say that I've done everything I could with everything I had and tried to do as much good as I can and have as much fun as I can for my personal self and to have other people have fun at my expense. So I just want to be remembered as a good-hearted person, and being the book lady is one thing I'm very proud of.
But I have a good attitude. I work hard at being happy. You gotta work at that too. But I really enjoy my life. I enjoy people, and I just am happy to get to make a living at what I love to do.
So, what's up, people? So, what's up, people?